Hey, welcome back to my channel, A Miracles Lifestyle. Welcome back to all of my subscribers, and if this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome to you as well. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel right now. This is a tutorial of me doing faux locks on myself, which are crochets. It's a seamless look. I was stuck in the house bored, and let's get in this video. Okay, so this is pretty much me going over everything that you're going to need. The hair on the right is the packages that you're going to use for the actual locks. You're going to need about 4 packs. I used about 3.5. It does come with 30 strands in each pack. This is how it looks outside of the package. The other is going to be what we're going to use later on in the video after we've put all the locks in. Next, the products that I used in my hair was Dark and Lovely. It's a braiding custard that I really like. I got off of Amazon. And next thing is smoother edge control that I got from my friend here in Michigan. Her name's Nisha. I'll put her website as well. Now, I didn't add the edge booster that I actually used as well on the video, but I'll add it in the bottom. So here we're just going to start the parting, and that it's going to be at the back, and I use the edge or the braiding custard to put in. We're just doing the bottom of my hair right now. We're going to start to divide that bottom part into 4 sections. And within those 4 sections, you're going to braid just one single braid for each section. And you're not going to braid it all the way down. You're going to leave some out for all 4 of those braids. The other thing that I like about that braiding custard when you're parting, it just makes the part so much straighter and crisper. It's not as well on myself, but you'll see the difference if you're using it on someone else. Now, as far as parting goes, I may have had a more difficult time than you would, of course, if you were doing someone else's hair. But the good thing about this is that they are supposed to look like locks. So it doesn't have to be super perfect. It doesn't have to be super duper neat. I mean, you do want it to be neat. You can clean it up, which I did at the end, but it doesn't have to be perfectly parted. The other thing also is that this is supposed to look seamless, that it's supposed to look like they're all single locks, not that you have crochets in. So that's the effect that we're looking for. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so we've added the second row, and we're going to do the same exact thing that we did to the first row. 4 sections, single braids. Not braided all the way down, except for this time we're going to braid and we're going to include that single braid that's right underneath, as you can see right here. And then we're just going to continue to braid and not braid it all the way down. Okay, from there we're going to do the same exact thing for the next 3 sections, including the bottom single braid that's right underneath to the top row, that second row. Okay, so this part is where it can get a little tricky. This whole style is a little tricky if you're not paying close attention on all the crocheting. Now, what I did was part right there. I divided the top part and the bottom part. I made a top section and a bottom section. And then on each side, you're going to make a small braid on each side like you see here. After that, you're going to go and make a whole row that separates the top section and the bottom section, okay? And then you're going to create individual braids as you can see here, going around that whole perimeter. Okay, so there we go. I skipped over some things, but you'll see it. Now here is where you're going to make columns or longer sections, and we're going to French braid that. Okay, we're going to cornrow it. I don't know, it depends on where you're from. You say French braid or cornrow. However, we're going to do that, and we're going to try to keep it in the same sections as the bottom 2 rows are in. Okay, now when you're French braiding, you want to include that side small single braid right there. You're going to see it. There we go. You're going to leave the bottom section out. I included both of those 2 single braids into this cornrow. Okay, now the thing about that is the reason why you left that bottom section out is so that it's not super bulky. So I crocheted those two sections I put at the bottom. I crocheted through that cornrow, and that's what we're essentially going to keep doing. We're going to keep pulling forward the bottom braids so that it doesn't look bulky, and we're going to include the top row right there into the cornrow as well. And if you can see, I also added that extra leftover side braid right there into this cornrow as well. So we want to keep it as less bulky as we can. The thing about this that I would do differently, I will tell you once we get to that point. I would do some things differently though. And again, we're not braiding all the way down because we don't want it to seem super bulky. Now I'm crocheting that braid through the next cornrow. Right? You see that? And that's the first cornrow I did. So you see how you keep the perimeter of the single braids separated. You don't necessarily want them to be together because then it won't look seamless, if that makes sense. Now here, that first single braid, I probably should have added into the second cornrow so that it looks more seamless, and you'll see what I mean right there. See that? I'm gonna braid that down, crochet that bottom row, those 2 bottom rows next, and that cornrow in there next. Now when you do this, it can get a little tricky. If you don't know how to crochet, you might want to catch a video of crocheting. I did try to show a little bit of how to do it because I had to get reacquainted with this thing, okay? Because honestly, I forgot. So I'm going to this. We're going to the end. I've pulled everything over. When you get to that middle part, you're gonna want to do everything that you did on that left side on the right side. You don't want to pull everything over all the way to the other end. Just get to the middle and then go start at that right side and come back to the middle. So you'll meet the braids in the middle. And the goal is to just have 1 braid left, and then you can crochet that. After we've gotten everything crocheted down and locked down, and there's that 1 braid, we're going to crochet that until there's no braids left. Now, this is the part that I was talking about I would do different. What I would do different is sew this down. Okay, with some thread. I would sew this down so that it does not unravel, and you don't have the chances of it unraveling, because that is kind of what I had to deal with post this style. Now, I talked about not being familiar with the crocheting and the techniques and everything. So I included, I think, 3 different techniques you can use if you're a beginner. Is that this one right here I'm showing you. The second one is if you kind of get it and you're still having kind of a difficult time. And then the last one is pretty much how it should go smoothly and efficiently. Make sure that you are going underneath the braid, not around the braid when you're crocheting. Otherwise, it'll keep sliding up and down. You want it to be fixed under the braid and attached to the base of the braid. With this method here, I'm using a lot of my fingers to pull through, which is way more time consuming, as you can imagine. So this is one of the methods if you don't quite have a hang of the crocheting yet. And this one here is how it should be going in and pulling out with the crocheting tool. Now I'm just going to keep crocheting each small little section so that it looks seamless and it looks like individual locks. I'm going to do that throughout the whole back section, and I'll be back after I'm finished with that. Okay, I'm finally pretty much finished with the back section. I am adding a few locks in different areas that I feel need to be filled in, and there is a couple of spots that seem a little open to me. So if you feel the need to, without the exception of, or with the exception of the perimeter area, you can add more if you, depending on how full you want it or not, you know, it's up to you. Okay, so it was super late last night and I had to stop because I really literally did this because I was super bored. I had the hair, so I said I'm gonna do it, and it was late when I started and I was tired. I worked on it for about 2 hours. I think a total of 3.5 hours it took me. So I started with the front part. I know you guys are like, how did we get here already? Because I didn't start videoing until after at this point. So you can see I have done 2 single braids starting for the first little row there. And I did a French braid already there. I think I even had maybe taken that part down or something. I had started and restarted it. So the whole goal here is to, again, make it look seamless. So when I am doing the French braids, with the exception of those 2 outer braids, the single braids, we're going to do French braids. Right now, for the French braid, you're going to part out a little square of the beginning of the French braid so that it can look like a single braid. Basically, it is a single braid to start off, and then you're going to include it once you start French braiding. Now the problem here with my hair, my edges are thin super thin and my hair is soft. So it kind of was hard for me to even grip that part so that I could get all of the hairs. So I did struggle with that a little bit. And after I was done with this style, you could, it started to slip a little bit. So what I would recommend is that you add a few pieces of hair to the beginning so that it is a little more durable when you are crocheting. Just add a couple of pieces of braiding hair to that French braid. Now what we're doing, when I do that second row of braids, I'm including those 2 single braids, not at the same time, one at a time, so that you can again keep that seamless look. In each row of braids, at the end of the braid, you're not going to add them together, you're just going to braid them down and leave them out. I'll show you what we're going to do with the endings of those French braids. When you are parting, another thing that is very important about this style is the way you part. You want to do a zigzag part. Again, this creates the seamless look and the individual lock look. It doesn't have to be perfectly zigzag, but you want to give the illusion that these are individual locks. So this is the way you're going to do it, okay? The first row, you don't necessarily have to do that way because you're doing those 2 single braids, but the rest of them you're going to do like this, okay? We're all finished with that, and this is how it should look. You should see those zigzag parts. I have put some edge control already on my edges, and I'm going to start to crochet the top. Again, you want to go under the braid, the base of the braid. You don't want to go around the braid, especially on your front perimeters, any of your perimeters, because it's going to slide on the braid. You want to make sure it's right directly under when you're crocheting. Okay, so we definitely left that hair out for a reason, and this is the reason here. We're going to have the faux locks without the curl at the bottom, and those are actually for crocheting as well, and we're going to have curly braiding hair. I'll post those at the bottom of the video as well, And what you're going to do is grab the end of the braids that we left out, and you're going to add this braiding hair in. You're going to braid it into the hair that you left out. After you've braided it all the way down, you're going to, what I did was wrap it around and put a little knot on there. And then you're going to get the faux lock and crochet it at the base of that braid that you just made. And then we're going to wrap it around with our hands. I know there's a different way to do this that's way quicker than my method, but I honestly didn't feel like kind of looking for it and finding out how to do it. I can't remember. I did see it before here on YouTube, so I just did it with my hands and wrapped it like that. Once you pulled it through, and it should be at the base of that braid, you're going to then start wrapping it around that braid there. You're going to wrap the crochet, you're going to wrap the lock around the braid all the way down. And at the end, there may be a little bit to cut off from, like a little shrivel of it left over, and you can cut that off so that it can wrap tightly or securely around the braid. It's not going to be really tight. You're going to, make sure that it's all around, there's no openings. And to help do that, you can rub your hands together over it. As you probably can see, there is actually a seamless look. You can see the parts, and it looks like they're all single. And that's what we were going for, and it's all done now. You're all done. It's been a while. I would like to show you the look where you have all of the locks down. You can turn it from one side to the other, and that was the reason that you were doing the zigzag parts, so that it looks like you have individuals. You can turn this to the other side, and again, it'll look like you have individuals. I have it half up and half down here, which I think is super cute. If you have more of a girly look, the other one was more for maybe more of a night look if you're dressing up or something like that. This one I really like. My daughter liked it a lot. Wasn't my favorite look, but I think it's cute. And the locks are just right in length for me. This next look will probably be the look I'll be using on a day-to-day basis. A bun all the way up. So this is what I really love about this style. You can wear it however you want, and you can see that they look like individual braids, and this is super cool. Doesn't take that long, and hopefully it lasts at least 3 weeks. We shall see. But that is the end of my video. Do not forget to like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Don't forget, a miracle's on the way.